Welcome back to Around the World with Dane Waters. I'm your host, Dane Waters. We have a lot to get to cover today, so let's get started. I'm here with Sami Nader, who from broadcasting from Beirut, Lebanon. I've known Sami for a very long time, and he was on a guest. He was a guest on the show before, and so Sami's one of the smartest guys I know when it comes to what's happening, not just around the world, but specifically in the Middle East. Sami, what is
Yes,
going on? What's going on in the Middle East? What's going on with Israel? What do you think their goal is? Help us understand.
I think we are living the consequences of a big event, a big drama that happens in October 7, 2023. And as a result, we are seeing a geopolitical earthquake and the redrawing of the whole map of the Middle East. We have some regimes that have totally collapsed, like the Syrian regime, a total change in the balance of power. Iran, that used to dominate this region, has suffered a serious setback to the benefit of Israel on the geopolitical side, but also to the benefit of Turkey. So now we are seeing, at least in the Levant, that means this east western part of the Middle East, a total change in the balance of power, a total change in the political map, the emergence of the new players that who have the upper hand. I named Turkey, Israel, but as well as Saudi Arabia, who filled the void that was left by Iran. However, these regional powers have conflicting agendas. While Israel now, and it is vocal about it, try to push for the partition of the region and the partition of the region and the redrawing of the map on the basis of ethnicity. We're seeing how they are advocating the right of minorities. They are presenting themselves as the protector of the minorities, being the Druze, being the Alawite. But this will, as a result, we will see if this project will succeed. We will see a Levant redrawn on the basis of ethnicity. This is in contradiction with the American view that wants to that does not want to meddle with the current borders. It is as well in contradiction with the Saudi Arabia a plan to keep Syria united. Syria that at the end went back to what we call the Arab family. So this was a strategic gain for Saudi Arabia. Syria that was, I mean, under the influence of Iran, has now shifted to Saudi Arabia and to Turkey. And you have Turkey as well that has its own plan. Turkey definitely in Syria achieved a big success at the geopolitical level. It is now, the group that was it backed is in power today, and most importantly, what happened 10 days ago, the PKK, which is the Kurdish militia, decided to hand out its arms to Turkey, which is for Turkey a historical success, if this is to be maintained.
Oh, there's so much to unwrap here. So let's back up here and talk about the three players: Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Israel. The redefining the region. But help us understand why Israel decided to attack Syria and to protect the Druze. Well, help us understand, first of all, who the Druze are, and why it's important for the Israelis to protect them in Syria?
That's a very great. I mean, this is a very good question, actually, because for the last 2 decades at least, Syria was a major threat to Israel because it was open to Iran, and Iran used the Syrian territory, and namely the south of Syria at the northern border of Israel, to try to directly threaten the security of Israel. So, for Syria is a country bordering Israel, and it's strategically important for Israel not to have a threat, any kind of threat at its northern border. Plus, in addition to that, there is a very conflictual relationship between Turkey and Israel. And Israel does not want Turkey to be directly at its border. So this is why when the Assad regime collapsed, they made sure to totally obliterate the Syrian army. And for them, the best agenda or the best vision that will secure Israel's security on the long term is to have Syria divided in different small states. In order to reign, you have to divide. This is the old principle. And at the same time, I mean, small state based on ethnicity, in a way, legitimize Israel in its current political form today, which is a Jewish state. So to have a Druze state, a Christian state, a Kurdish state, and to have states or to have the whole Levant drawn along ethnic borderline is a justification for a Jewish state. In a nutshell, what has collapsed for the last 2 years is this idea of nation state. Nation state that used to be the political system in Syria, in Iraq, and even in Lebanon is in paralysis. This national state has collapsed. What will replace it? What will be the alternative? This is what the next days or weeks will show us.
Well, let's talk about this. So let's say that Israel is successful in redrawing. I mean, do you think that that this will lead to long-term peace in the region, or do you think that it's a fundamentally flawed idea, or do you think it has merit?
My personal view: if you don't ensure the legal rights, the natural rights of the different populations in the region, you cannot. You will always nourish frustration, and frustration will lead to violence and will lead to terrorism. And as long as you are not granting the Palestinian a right for a state, a right for to decide on their own destiny, we will continue to see violence. And the best way to ensure stability on the long run is to grant these populations their right to exist, their right to build a state. And Israel should understand that. But the problem is that the current government, which is leaning too much to the right, has extremist view that whose policies are feeding violence from both sides.
Yeah, but okay, so you talk about Israel's plan is to create a Jewish state, a Christian state, all these different states, yet they don't want a Palestinian state. So how does that work together? They want individual states, but they don't want a Palestinian state.
This is the big problem. This is the
So
big problem.
what do they want? What do they, in your opinion, what do they want to do with the Palestinians?
Uh, I think their plan is to to for them, for in the Israeli perspective, they have a state which is Jordan, and this is their perspective. Maybe this is wrong, for sure, but the Israeli far right is say we cannot grant the Palestinian two states. They already have one, who is Jordan. By the way, that 60% of, or maybe more, two-thirds of the population, two-thirds of the population of Jordan is Palestinian. So their plan is to complete their domination all over the Palestinian historic, or what they consider their historic land. And what's going on in Gaza is very worrying, Dane. What we are witnessing is practically a transfer of population. And at
Oh
the
yeah, I
end, when
mean,
they be kicked out of Gaza, and there are and the extremist view consider even the West Bank, what they call the West Bank, they call it the Judea and Samaria. They consider it as the Holy Land of Israel. And in these conflicting views between Palestinian and Israel, we're not seeing any positive outcome, any sustainable solution, because any sustainable solution will have to take into consideration the basic rights of the people.
well, I don't think, well, we won't get into if they believe in people's basic rights or not. But the reality is that, if Jordan doesn't want the Palestinians that are in the Gaza and the West Bank, then what are the options? I mean, yeah, it is. Let's be very clear. What's happening in Gaza is an atrocity. There's no doubt about it. The bombing of the Catholic Church the other day, just the sheer magnitude of what is happening. I'm not anti-Semitic. I'm sure there are people watching the show will say I'm anti-Semitic if I'm saying anything positive about the Palestinians, but I'm not. The reality is it's just wrong, fundamentally wrong on every single level. But what do the Israelis want to do with the Palestinians? I mean, are they just trying to? I mean, I hate to say it, but they're just going to try and kill all of them until they're gone. That if Jordan won't take them, what happens?
The problem with the Israeli government today is it is totally hijacked by two people who have very extremist view, and they are pushing Netanyahu not to stop the war, to the extent that Netanyahu today is defying the American president, who was the most pro-Israeli president in the history of the United States of America. And this is on the detriment of Israel interest on the long run, because what is putting at stake in the relationship between Tel Aviv and its most reliable and powerful ally. However, even Netanyahu, could not oppose these Ben Gvir and Smotrich, who are against stopping the war against the Palestinian. And in my view, they are convinced that the best solution is to get the Gazawis out of Gaza.
Yeah, well, but as you said, I mean, my prediction is that okay, they get the Palestinians out of Gaza, then they will turn to the West Bank. I mean, if they want to fully purge Israel of Palestinians, then they're going to have to also get them out of the West Bank. I just personally
And
think that's
in the West Bank, the situation is not easy. You could see clashes every single day. And from a historic perspective, from a religious perspective, the West Bank is more important to the Israeli far right than the Gaza, because Gaza was not part of this. It has no religious value, so to speak, but it posed a strategic threat. This is why they want to get them out. But there are people in Israel in the government who want to annex more land in the West Bank because they consider this as part of the historic and Eretz Israel.
And would you argue, and I agree with that, and would you argue that keeping the region destabilized in some ways helps Israel with that goal? For example, if Syria is destabilized or divided, if Iran is destabilized, even if Lebanon is destabilized, or and definitely Israel. I mean, Egypt is concerned about taking Palestinians in. I mean, there's so this destabilization and uncertainty that helps them do what they want to do.
But this will keep Israel as an ongoing spacha. I mean, as a country that only that is in a permanent war. I'll, like 1 month ago, I went through a report, an article in one French a newspaper, and who was covering the Israeli who left Israel, who were dwellers of the Galilee, this northern part of Israel that is bordering Lebanon. Those people left their country, and they will not go back anymore. They are now settled in Crete, in Greece. They have chosen a Greek country that is similar to their country, a Mediterranean culture, and they don't want to go back to Israel. So this is a real danger for this country because you can do a lot of things through military means, but you cannot build peace. If you want to build sustainable peace, you need to respect a minimum of rights, the basic rights of.
No, I agree 100%. But by the way, there was a report that I read. We only have like 3 minutes left here. There's a report I read, I think it was on CNN or New York Times, I can't remember, that talks about how what's happening in Iran, that not much has changed, that Iran is now going back to funding their proxies again. I mean, have you heard about this? Do you think there's any validity in that statement?
I mean, Iran is a regional power that will get advantage of chaos because, and namely in Syria. If Syria will fall into chaos, Iran will find its way to come back, playing on the conflicting regional sectarian groups, arming the Alawite or the Kurds and trying to get advantage of the chaos in Syria in order to rebuild an influence. And by the way, this is why one major reason why a country like Saudi Arabia does not want the partition of Syria, because not only it will marginalize the Sunnis, but as well it will pave the way for Iran return to the region. Because I mean, let's not forget that 1 year ago, Iran has built what we call a land bridge from Tehran to the Mediterranean, and this has collapsed after the Israel war on Iran, backed by the American strikes.
Well, it goes back to something I said in my monologue, and it's about world leadership too. I mean, Netanyahu, Prime Minister Netanyahu, it doesn't seem to be any accountability. Are there any world leaders that he will listen to? For example, the White House, in an extraordinary measure, came out and specifically said that they were unaware or shocked by what happened, both the attack in Syria and the bombing of the Catholic Church. So clearly Netanyahu doesn't seem to care what Trump has to say. Who can make a difference in Israel, in your opinion?
Unfortunately not. The only person that has some leverage on Netanyahu is President Trump. And even President Trump got frustrated by Netanyahu's action, and the result could be that America will turn its back to the region. Or I don't see America stopping their support for Israel because it's an important ally on the military level. However, today Israel policies are threatening the American interests in the region, and the proof is when President Trump visited the Middle East in his first trip, he did not visit Israel. He wants to strengthen America's alliance with their partners in the region, namely Saudi Arabia, the Emirates, the UAE, and Qatar, who are today strategic economic partners of America.
Yeah, no, you're right. And plus, it has to be said that the Israelis or the Jewish population is a very big voting bloc, very powerful bloc in the United States. So that has an impact on the U.S. president as well. Sammy, it's always a pleasure. Love
My
talking to
pleasure.
you.
Thank you, Dane. Thank you for having me. Thank you for the great questions.
Well, it's always a pleasure, and tell everyone hello, and I will talk to you again soon. And so let's take a
Okay.
break from Around the World with Dane Waters, and we'll be back with our next guest.